Evangelical Christians helped elect Donald Trump, but their time as a major political force is coming to an end.
Good. I'm fine with that.
Alex Kameyer left the church a few months before his pastor announced from the pulpit that the election of Donald Trump was a miracle from the Lord, or of the Lord. The 29-year-old Connecticut social worker had been raised in the evangelical tradition. His parents were married in it. But Kameyer's faith had started to fail a decade earlier when his church deemed his mother's alcoholism and his parents' subsequent divorce a sin. Later, a secular college education taught him that the world, the community outside the church, wasn't going to drag him in a cesspool of sex and drugs as he's been taught from childhood. His pastor's outspoken support of Trump convinced him he'd made the right decision. Blah, 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 blah. So here's kind of just the personal story. What's the statistical story behind this is what I want to know. Blah, blah, blah.
Right there, and the cracks are
already starting to show. In the 2018 midterms, exit polls showed white evangelicals backed Republicans by 75 to 22%, while the rest of the voting population favored Democrats 66 to 32%. But evangelicals were slightly less likely to support House Republicans in 2018. Hey, I fucked up.
Oh, TJ. Boo. Good job, TJ.
I don't know no one in fucking Nevada.
Go and take the call, TJ.
Boo.
Go and take that call, buddy.
Shut up.
Scotty, turn your ringer up. Scotty, turn your ringer up. Scotty, turn your ringer off.
So basically, the Republicans didn't show up in 2018 the way that they did in 2016. Probably because Trump has not really been that great. But then again, I know that a lot of Republicans love Trump. To be sure, evangelical Christians have been rewarded for their support of Trump after enduring 8 years wandering in Barack Obama's political desert. They have 2 new conservative Supreme Court justices, and there have been 9 self-professed evangelical cabinet members, plus a flurry of laws and executive orders clamping down on gender roles, abortion, and LGBTQ rights. But experts say this may represent the last bounty for a waning political power. Unlike their parents, the younger generation is not animated by the culture wars. Many are pushing for social justice for migrants and LGBTQ people and campaigning against mass incarceration. You know, I don't know that that logic necessarily holds up for me because, you know, a lot of people, when they're young, are liberals, and then they get older and they become conservatives.
Yeah. That
I mean, we had hippies at one point in this country. The younger generation, they're all a bunch of hippies, and they free love and peace and drugs, and then
the baby boomers.
They grew up to become neocons.
Yeah, they elected Reagan.
Right. So, I mean, you know, you can't just be like, look, the youth is liberal, so they're always going to be. No, a lot of them are going to be like, you know what, fuck this liberal bullshit. I want a Maserati. You know?
I mean, people tend to switch political affiliations a lot more in this country, I think, due to just boredom with only having 2 choices and really not having one that represents them well.
So people bounce back and forth like a ping pong ball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you even see it in commentators and shit. Like, look at Dave Rubin. You know, it was like, what's my political position? I don't know. Who's the highest bidder?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
Yeah, super liberal
used
guy.
To be a super lib.
Yep.
But remember,
realized he could make the splash as a gay.
The red wave
conservative.
happens,
How
and
was
now
the
he's a
couch,
big conservative guy.
It wasn't. I'm a conservative now. I'm a classical liberal.
Right. But I mean, it basically just he goes on his show and agrees with every conservative talking point in the book, and just says, "Well, I'm not a conservative, though.
I'm a classical.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a liberalist."
Right. You know all this ridiculous.
Classical
garbage.
liberal, Paul.
Yeah,
classical.
True.
Well, no, liberalist is the newer one.
Well, no, I'm saying at the
Sargon.
No, I'm saying at the time that's what he was saying.
Right. It went from classical liberal, and then when people were like, he's like, I'm a liberalist. Just work that. You can say whatever conservative talking point you want as long as you stuff the word liberal in there somewhere.
I mean, it's kind of funny to say people are not animated by the culture wars. Like, go on Twitter, go on all these social media platforms. Like, yeah, people are pushing for the things they're talking about, sure, but it's not like you just have one side of like, here's the youth, and they're all in agreement for these positions.
I think a better argument for this article to be using is just that religiosity itself is on the decline in America.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what this article is saying.
I don't think you can make a case for the culture war being over, or that this generation's always going to be liberal.
I think the insight into this is more like, look, it's just that there's more and more information out there now. And this guy is like, I grew up in this organization, and people are all like, yeah, they were great people, but then the minute it was like, oh, we didn't meet this cookie cutter image, it was like, fuck you, get out. And they just realized, like, wait a minute. In the personal story in the beginning, it's like, wait a minute, that's not how reality is. Like, most people don't give a shit if your fucking mom was an alcoholic. They know it's not your fault.
Plus, how great is it that these churches have tax exempt status? Oh, I love this touch here. They like took off the top part of the cross to turn it into a T for Trump. Basically, that's a
neat little touch.
I didn't notice that.
What about this angle too? Let's just read the headline. Evangelical Christians helped elect Donald Trump, but their time as a major political force is coming to an end. Do you think that some of that might have to do with electing people like Donald Trump?
Right.
That are immediately an embarrassment and immediately under 17 separate investigations?
I mean, it kind of just the demeanor of Trump in general undercuts the message of evangelical Christians.
Right.
Because if Trump was one of their parishioners at their church and was just a nobody, he wouldn't get this kind of leeway and deference.
No, he'd be considered a sinner, and
right.
he'd be asked to fucking atone for that.
Exactly. I mean, he might even be excommunicated if he's in a certain
to leave
church.
the church.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think evangelical. I think they're Protestants.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, if you're in a particular church,
you could be, you could be
you
banned.
Can get kicked out.
Yeah, you can be banned.
He walked in with a different fucking stripper every week.
Right.
You know what I mean? On his arm and cussed and stuff like he does.
I mean, like, look, this is a guy who said he grabs by the pussy, don't even wait.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with grabbing pussies,
that
but you gotta
sounds
ask first.
That sounds biblically sound, though.
He's dated a woman who's posed nude. He's married to a woman who's posed nude before, which a lot of them would consider pornographic and wrong and violent.
Look, happened before. I knew her. She's reformed.
She's reformed. Oh, okay. I think he was fine with it at the time.
Look, and I heard Paul make a comment. I think it's totally unfair. 17 investigations, Paul. Look, that might be true, but look, Trump knows the law. He is the law at this point.
Yeah, he's the president.
And he's going to do legal so good, Paul. It's going to blow your mind.
I'm waiting.
I mean, those 17 investigations, Paul, are nothing more than witch hunts. Trump is actually the will of the people, and the large corporate interests are trying to stifle Trump.
Got it.
They're at every turn trying to stop him, Paul. So, yeah, there's the 17 investigations, but there's 17 illegitimate investigations.
What an insanely convoluted conspiracy against Mr.
It
Trump.
is.